In a quiet fishing village in West Cork in Ireland in 1631, over 100 men, women and children suddenly disappeared. They were taken in ships, never to see Ireland again. For centuries, some of the most feared and savage raiders in European waters operated out of North Africa, and they were known as the Barbary Corsairs. They were based in Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli and Salé, and they were not a ragtag bunch of misfits by any means. These men were well trained, well equipped, with weapons and large warships, and mostly operated with the backing of the Ottoman Empire. During the 16th and early 19th century, hundreds of thousands of European Christians were carried off into slavery across the Mediterranean. Countries like Spain, Italy, France, England, and even Iceland and Ireland were tormented by these guys who specifically targeted Christians. One of the most notorious of these slavers was a man named Turgut Reis. He was a Turkish admiral, and in 1551 he raided the Maltese island of Gozo, taking 5,000 slaves. Then in 1554 he attacked Vieste in Italy, massacring all the men and enslaving 7,000 women and children. But back to Ireland. In 1631, the village of Baltimore in County Cork was raided by a Dutch convert to Islam named Murad Reis, operating out of Algiers. Some of the Barbary Corsairs were kidnapped Christians who were forcibly converted to Islam or disillusioned privateers. On the 20th of June 1631, he took 107 villagers according to contemporary English records, but the number could be as high as 160. So what happened to all of these slaves? Well, some were sent to North Africa where they would have been sold as domestic servants. Christian men were often turned into galley slaves and chained there to row in the Ottoman Navy, whipped and exposed to the sun all day with the flesh burnt from their backs. They ate, slept and shit themselves there, not being allowed to move. The historian Robert Davis interprets this to be the most brutal form of slave labour ever devised. A small lucky few might have been ransomed back if you had a wealthy family, and religious orders like the Trinitarians in Europe were even founded specifically to help ransom captives. And even on occasion, some were set free by Europeans who defeated the Corsairs in battle. In one instance, at the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, 12,000 Christian galley slaves were freed from the Turks by a coalition of Catholic states. The Mediterranean in the 17th century was a frontier between Christian and Muslim powers, and privateering, slavery and ransom were part of that frontier economy. It is important to mention European states enslaved Muslims too, particularly after some of the major pitched battles like Lepanto, but this was mostly tied to naval warfare. For centuries, enslavement of non-Muslims was legally permissible under Islamic law, particularly in war or raiding beyond the frontier. That created a framework where coastal Europe was, in effect, a hunting ground. Davis's own conservative estimates, which are very hard to gauge at this time to be fair, put the amount of Christians enslaved from 1500 to 1800 at around 1 to 1.5 million. In the end, the newly formed United States played a major role in weakening the Barbary pirates. The First Barbary War occurred in 1801 with a second in 1815. It was aided by Britain and France. By 1830, the Barbary states had been effectively integrated into the French Empire, which essentially ended this centuries-long reign of terror.